What is up, the Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. We are back here once again. You already know what it is when you see me in front of your TV. One thing is for certain, and three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats and not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. We want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And you may be asking yourself, how, Don? How, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic, especially in these trying times? Well, it's very simple. I'll let you know. I'll tell you. Smash like button, subscribe, and share with your peoples. And it doesn't matter in which order you've done these things in. Once you've done these things, you have indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. And since sharing is caring, once you share this stream with your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, your uncles, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your uncles, your cousins, your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, you name it, you have indeed cared about these people. What up to everybody in the chat? What up though to everyone who is here now, who will be here later, who is talking now, who will be talking later, who is lurking now, who ain't talking. What up, though, to everybody? What up though, Tactical Sport? Pierce Sargent said that the season ended after the Rams. Let's talk about it. Is the Detroit Lions season over? This is the question that we are asking today. Essentially, the answer is yes. Technically, the answer is no. I don't know what the pulse of the fanhood or the fanship or the fandom is. Do you even want to see your Detroit Lions in the playoffs? I got to tell you, there's a team out there right now that is putting things in the big perspective for the Detroit Lions fans if they're paying attention. Now, granted, the schedule ain't difficult. The schedule is a schedule that you play if you are not in first, second, or third place. It's a last place schedule because this team was pretty bad last year because last year they dealt with a bunch of injuries. Last year we were 15-2 and dealt with a bunch of injuries. So that wasn't an excuse. This year, they've dealt with a bunch of injuries. They're down Fred Warner. They're down Joey Bosa. They're down Michael Williams and so on and so forth. But they just keep winning football games. And in the toughest division in the NFC right now, which is the NFC West, it is no longer the NFC North, right? Your last place team in the NFC West is the Arizona Cardinals, and the Arizona Cardinals have their own issues and problems. Kyler Murray being one of them, Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray not being on the same page, Kyler Murray being injured. I don't know what happened. He fell down in his house or something in week 3 and went on injured reserve. I don't know. Okay. I don't think the coach is enthused and thrilled about Kyler Murray. So Kyler Murray is probably going to be on the move. No, he's not coming to Detroit. No, we don't want him in Detroit. No, you can't flame out in Arizona and ask and then I want you in Detroit. No. Mm-mm. No. Call of Duty is fun, but it's not that fun. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much fun that you got to put clauses in my contract to stop me from playing it. Because it ain't gonna get you as much money as an NFL quarterback job would. Sorry. So the San Francisco 49ers, with all of their injuries, I mean, and they've had, again, at the head of the snake, Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. Mac Jones was in there keeping the ship afloat and everything because Brock Purdy was injured at the beginning of the season and most of the season, and then he comes back in the second half of the season. Throws 5 games on Monday night, 5 touchdowns on Monday Night Football, And not only are they keeping pace, they're not just keeping pace, people. The San Francisco 49ers have the ability to get the number 1 seed in the NFC. They've got a bunch of injuries and have dealt with a bunch of injuries. They are in position to get the number 1 seed in the NFC. I'll give you the schedule. I'll give you the schedule, but the schedule becomes harder when everybody's injured. I'm just saying, bro. Look at that team and let that sink in. Let me get to your comments before I get to the greater spiel. Belinda Brown, what up though? She says it's gonna be some tough decisions having to be made in the offseason. Those are facts. It's time for the reckoning. Not the Diddy one, I hope. You know what I'm saying? But I'll wait till the offseason to be unpleasant. This year, no, I don't. That team is sadly run by Osama bin Johnson. No, I was talking about the 49ers. I don't want to see them in the playoffs this year. I do want to see us move on from Melvin. That's not going to happen, unfortunately, this offseason. Another reason I want no playoffs. Who wants the Bears schedule next year? I'd like the Bears schedule next year. No, I mean I'd like the place, the last place schedule next year, not what they're gonna have next year. Okay, because the Bears are gonna have a much better schedule next year, as far as the competition that they're gonna play. Um, there's a lot of blame to go around for this season. Um, it's essentially over, as I said. It's technically not over, but it is essentially over. Yesterday I talked about Melvin. I don't know if you guys have seen the David Montgomery posting stuff on his story and then someone um putting in a comment about how they're glazing Gibbs and how he should be getting more carries and when we don't use him they lose, and then he likes the comment. Then you have the Aiden Hutchinson situation where he won't exactly tell you what is the problem with the run game. We have DJ Reader in a piece saying that basically everybody in the front seven had their holes and their assignments and their gaps. So obviously it was on the secondary. And that seems like coaching, right? Despite what some people who have been banned and blocked believe, I don't like the job that Kelvin Shepherd has done. And here's where we're going to start today. We're going to talk about Dan Campbell. We're going to talk about Dan Campbell's hiring. Okay. What up, though, Shift? It's a good job. Monty might be gone. Hate to say it. Well, they'll have to trade him. They'll have to trade him or cut him. And I'm sure they're going to have a conversation before either one of those options is on the table. But here's the thing that I'm going to tell you. Dan Campbell, remember I told you guys philosophies have to change. Shout out Heavyweights. I was listening to them and they pointed out this is something I forgot about. Okay. And I want to give them their props for bringing it back to my attention. When AG left and Dan Campbell had the press conference about the new defensive coordinator, and he said basically he wanted to see the same things that he saw with AG, the same philosophies. Those philosophies didn't work for how many years? We came here in 2020 and our defense was ass. It started out ass in 2021. Or I'm sorry, I may be getting my 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. This is year 5, right? Okay. So let's, because we went to the NFC Championship game in 2023. Okay. So in 2021, we came here, our defense was ass. In 2022, it started out really ass. Then AG had to simplify everything. Now, the reason that it was ass is because you didn't have the players, right? You didn't have any talent. Then you got more talent in 2022. Then you got more talent in 2023. Okay. And in 2023, we went to the NFC Championship game. In 2023, in that NFC Championship game in the second half, we didn't stop anyone. We couldn't corral Brock Purdy. We couldn't stop anything from happening. Obviously, again, we didn't have a secondary. We had Kendall Vildor out there starting, Cam Sutton and Jerry Jake. We just had nobody. Okay. Then you go to last year and we're 15-2. AG does a much better job, even though people are injured. So you expected Kelvin Shepherd to step in and do the same job. And there was a lot of good to be seen in the first half of this season from Kelvin Shepherd and the defense. And then there was also the second half of the season. It's been atrocious. It's been bad. It hasn't been good. Yeah, we've dealt with injuries, but we're always dealing with injuries. And this is where we're talking about Dan Campbell needing to change philosophies. I'm gonna get to your comments, and then we're gonna do a little exercise. You know how I like to do thought exercises with y'all, right? So we're gonna do some thought exercises. Let me get to your comments before then. All right. What up, though, Brent DeWitt? We hired 2 rookie coordinators in the Super Bowl year. We were doomed from the start. Now, we hired 1 rookie coordinator because, remember, Johnny Morton had been fired by the Jets previously. And that might be worse than a rookie. That might be worse. But we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about the coordinators and stuff. As you know, I've already delved a little bit into Kelvin Shepherd. Okay. And my whole thing was you expected him to do the same thing as AG. Well, AG was seasoned. Okay. AG was able to weather the storm and deal with injuries. You know why? Because AG was dealing with ass for the first 2-3 years here. He wasn't dealing with talent. And then once he finally got some talent, he had top 5, top 10 defense, and then everybody started getting injured. I blame 2 individuals for this whole season, fully Melvin and Morton. Morton was ass, but I think we got in front of Morton at the right time. Now, what I would say is, if you're saying that it forced Dan Campbell into calling plays, then you can't blame Morton. You actually have to blame Dan Campbell for hiring him. Morton was hired and essentially fired on the job very quickly, right? I think, what was it, after game 4, game 5, when Dan Campbell took over play calling? So, MCDC is having to do too much to compensate. Yeah, and I understand that. That's why I'm saying you have to blame MCDC for his hiring practices. We're going to get to that. Shep being a first year and all these injuries, I can't fully blame him. Not fully. No, not fully. But there's some things that we can do. You can, bro. How many dudes does the Niners have on IR? Salah still has that defense playing good. And that's where the difference is, because Salah has been a defensive coordinator. He's been a head coach, and he's back to being defensive coordinator. So you're looking at not blaming Shep because he's a rookie. And that's what Pierce was saying. But there is a lot of blame to go around with Shep. Um, what up, though, Zach J? Shepard isn't ready. No, he doesn't seem to be. No, we don't have time to develop these coordinators, bro. We are in a Super Bowl window. We were, and that again, we're gonna have a lot of talk this offseason about what Melvin does because I have no belief in Melvin's ability to humble himself. That's it. I mean, you know, if we say, "Oh, fire Brad Holmes," whatever, I want to give him a chance to fix what he's done. But I think he's so arrogant and like smelling his own salts that he won't come with his hat in his hand, apologize to the fan base, and do better. I just don't think he will because he's shown to be petty. He's shown to keep receipts. He's shown to pull the receipts and take victory laps after doing nothing. He literally has done nothing. He's won nothing. He's provided us with players that have won nothing. We got to the NFC Championship game. We did that. What is it? 40 years ago, we did that too. Not 40. It was 30 something, right? So we did that too. We got to the NFC Championship game. Never been in the Super Bowl. Still never been in the Super Bowl. Okay. Eagles had that one year. They had 2 new OCs and flamed out. Then came back to the Super Bowl the year after. Yeah. So and I want to talk about some of that too. Okay, because Vic Fangio was the choice at defensive coordinator. Okay, Vic Fangio. All right, someone who's established and well known on defense. What up, the greater good? Said I just watched some old videos from the 2023 season and 2024 season, and holy hell, heartbreaking isn't even the word. With Shep, I expect first managers to stumble. All right. We were doing when I heard we counting on Gigi or a rookie at center. Shep should stay. He's the least of our worries. I wouldn't say the least, but yeah. I mean, if you give him another year, I don't know. But we're gonna talk about that. Mm-hmm. Right. That's why I said Shep has done some good things, but the results have not been what we needed them to be. Um, wasn't Dan calling plays against KC? Yeah, he was. That wasn't week 9 or 10. Because he called plays the week before KC. And we were playing some garbage ass team. Was it the Commanders that we were playing? And he put up 44 on them. Yep, we were playing the Commanders. We put up 44 on them. And then we went to KC, and it didn't work out that well. The injuries can't continue to be an excuse, though. Brad, quit signing injured bums, and you won't have as many injuries. This is also true. Dan took over, I believe, after the Vikings game. The injured players are on Brad. Shep and MCDC can only coach the players given. What up, though, Jody Carruthers? He said, saw a sad montage of our greatest highlights over the last 4 years. It was depressing. I hope we can find our way back next year. Hey, everybody's getting to that. I would respect Holmes so much more if he had a press and said, I've made mistakes. The fan base deserves better. We will get back on track. Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't have any faith in him doing that. First time managers, yeah, I got it. Dan was calling plays against KC. Who was see? All right, we'll go back. We'll go back. Once we go back through, we'll see. Um, Dan took over play calling against the Commanders. So whatever, did we play the Commanders before the Chiefs or the Chiefs after the Commanders? Because that's when he took over play calling against the Commanders. Never making a Super Bowl in our lifetime, or the Lions moving cities and becoming the Oklahoma Lions and winning the Super Bowl. That would be worse because that's what happened to the Browns. So that's what happened to the Browns. All right, let's go through some things. I just want to do this exercise with you guys. All right, so I said we'd do this yesterday, today. So we're gonna do it. All right. Here we go. If you will navigate, yeah, okay, there we go. We're gonna split this up. And do that, and then we're gonna switch these around. Okay. All right. So in light of David Montgomery liking comments about Jahmyr Gibbs being glazed, we're gonna look at Jahmyr Gibbs' stats from this season. Okay. So Pierce, you were right. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You were correct. It was after the Minnesota game, week 9 versus Washington. Okay. All right. But Dan Campbell was just out coached by Andy Reid. Not all right. So let's go over Jahmyr Gibbs for the first 9 weeks of the season, or for the first 8 weeks of the season. Okay. Are you ready? Versus Green Bay, week 1, 9 carries, 19 yards. And we're only going over the rushing stats. I'm not going over the receiving stats because there's a point here. Versus Chicago, 12 carries, 94 yards. Versus Baltimore, 22 carries, 67 yards. Okay. So first game, 2.1 yards per carry. Second game, 7.8 yards per carry. Third game, 3 yards per carry. Fourth game versus Cleveland, 15 carries for 91 yards, 6.1 yards per carry. Versus Cincinnati, 12 carries for 54 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. Versus Kansas City, 17 carries for 65 yards, 3.8 yards per carry. Versus Tampa Bay, 17 carries, 136 yards, 8 yards a carry. But remember, he had that one long 70-yard carry. Minnesota, 9 carries for 25 yards, 2.8 yards per carry. Okay. Washington, the first game of Dan Campbell taking over play calling, 15 carries, 142 yards, 9.5 yards per carry. Then against Philly, 12 carries for 39 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. New York, 15 carries, 219 yards, 14.6 yards per carry. Okay. Green Bay, 20 carries, 68 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. Dallas, 12 carries for 43 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. Okay. Now remember, against Dallas, he had a good game, but rushing the ball. Okay. LA Rams, 13 carries for 38 yards, 2.9 yards per carry. Pittsburgh Steelers, 7 carries for 2 yards. 7 carries for 2 yards, 0.3 yards per carry. How many games has Jahmyr Gibbs averaged under 5 yards per carry? And he's still averaging. Well, after last game, even with a 0.3 yard per carry average, he's still averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Okay. Let me see how many I can find. Number 1, Green Bay. 3, Baltimore. I'm sorry, 2, Baltimore. 3, Cincinnati. 4, Kansas City. 5, Minnesota. 6, Philadelphia. 7, Green Bay. 8, Dallas. 9, Los Angeles. 10, Pittsburgh. How many games have we played? 15? 10 of his games have been less than 5 yards per carry. So he's had 5 outstanding games out of 15, which keeps his average over 5.3 yards per carry. And I'm saying all that to say this. Philosophies need to change in Detroit. Just the way that we said that I want to see the same things, the same philosophy from Shep as I wanted, or from the new defensive coordinator as I saw from AG. I don't understand the stubbornness. I don't understand why we're so stuck in our ways. Should David Montgomery have been liking Instagram comments disparaging Jahmyr Gibbs? No, he shouldn't have. But 10 games this season under 5 yards per carry. And in those 10 games, the first game he had 9 carries. The second game he had 22 carries. The third game he had 12 carries. The fourth game he had 17 carries. The fifth game he had 9 carries. The sixth game he had 12 carries. The seventh game he had 20 carries. The eighth game he had 12 carries. The ninth game he had 13 carries. And the 10th game he had 7 carries. And in most of those games, he had double-digit carries. In most of the games where he went under 5 yards per carry, he had double-digit carries. Why are we doing that? This is my question. Like, look around the league, right? If I went here, and this is why I want to make the comparison app, so it's to make things like this quicker. Okay, look around the league. Bijan Robinson is supposed to be your superstar running back. So look look how you use him, and look at his averages. Okay. Now we can do that just for quickness. Okay, let me see if I can quickly change. No. Okay, let me just quickly do this. I'm gonna separate the views. Can we separate the views? All right. Orange, separate views. Okay. Um, yeah, it's hard to just get players, which is crazy. So I have to actually do it in. All right. So Bijan Robinson, uh, season stats. Okay. Follow me now. Okay. All right. Bijan Robinson, 1,250 yards. Okay. Um, why doesn't it have oh, this is the overview. All right, stats. Okay. And it's not even, bro. I use the same term. All right. Bijan Robinson 2025 season stats. Maybe because I didn't put 2025 in there. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So his first game was bad as well. Had 12 carries for 24 yards. Okay. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games under 5, just like Jahmyr Gibbs. But the difference is this. Are you ready for this? He's got 1, 2, 3 under 3 yards and 1 game under 4 yards. Because he's only averaging 5 yards per carry, which is right. How many yards does he have? How many games does he have over 100 yards? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Jahmyr Gibbs has, I think, probably the same amount. Okay. But Bijan has more yards than Jahmyr Gibbs. He also has more carries than Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay. But you can see 6.5 yards, 5.5 yards, 4.4 yards, 8.9 yards. Okay. 2.9, 2.8, 3.8, 4.9, 4.5, 5, 6.2, 4.3, 4.9, 4.8. Right? There is a much more robust, okay, 4.8, 4.9. These aren't bad things. 4.4, stuff like that. These are like if you're averaging 4.4 yards a carry and you get you get the ball 3 times, you're gonna get a first down, right? So here's my question. If we've got a superstar running back and we've got a superstar wide receiver in and then Amon-Ra St. Brown, we've got a budding superstar in Jameson Williams. We've got a superstar tight end in Sam Laporta. Why is the only person that doesn't struggle to get their numbers Amon-Ra St. Brown? And when you look around the league, you say, okay, this is my superstar or these are my superstars, and you're getting them the football. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are the options on offense for the Dallas Cowboys, and they don't find it difficult to get them the football. Your bread is buttered in Minnesota rushing the passer, and they don't find it difficult to get to the passer. In Los Angeles with the Rams, the offense goes Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, and it ain't hard for them to get the ball. And it's not hard for them to put up numbers. In Philadelphia, they have a terrible offensive coordinator. But last year, it wasn't hard to get the ball to A.J. Brown. Okay, even though he was complaining more this year than last year, right? This year's been atrocious. He's had so many games this year where he didn't even get 30 yards. Okay, they didn't have a problem getting the ball to Devontae Smith. They didn't have a problem running the ball with Saquon Barkley. As you saw, he got over 2,000 yards rushing. They didn't have problems with the tush push, nothing. Everywhere that their bread was buttered, there was zero problems with it. The Detroit Lions must change their philosophies. And that starts with the hiring situation. As we talked about, I know it took a while, but we got there. As we talked about with the Shep hire and the Johnny Morton hire. Obviously, everything coming out of Allen Park was positive about both of these hires. Shep may be a genius or whatever the case may be, but he's not ready for this situation. And maybe he comes back next year and he's great. Maybe he parlays the few good games that he's had this season, and he makes the whole season the same way. At one point, we were a top 5 defense. Now we're not even top 10 in anything. We're in the 20s and things. We're in the teens and things. Is some of that due to injury? Yeah, some of it's due to injury. But again, as we said, Robert Salah has all these injuries on his defense. We're not making those excuses. Dan Campbell, your philosophy has worked for 1, 2, 3 regular seasons. It didn't work the first regular season because we didn't have any players. The second regular season, it took a while, and we finished 9-8, 8-2 down the stretch. The third regular season, we went to the NFC Championship game. The fourth regular season, we were 15-2. This regular season, we are not going to make the playoffs. So the season is over again in the regular season. And despite what the numbers have said, oh, we're top 3 scoring offense, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, again, numbers can be skewed. We put up 52 points on the Bears in week number 2. And that wasn't Johnny Morton. That was the players trying to stick it to Osama bin Johnson. Because the players weren't going to allow themselves to lose that game. all throughout this. I mean, when Johnny Morton was calling plays, we had problems getting the ball to JMO. We've had problems getting the ball to David Montgomery all year. We've got Tesla. We barely even use him. Sam Laporta had, last year with the emergence of JMO, Sam Laporta had a down year. He was having a decent year this year, and then he got injured. It's just something about what we're doing. It's something about how we run this team that it's just not like the creativity. We're just so stuck in our ways. And that's why I brought up Jahmyr Gibbs. All those games in which he has less than 5 yards a carry, you just keep giving him the ball and running it up the middle and hoping and praying that it's going to work at some point in time. If you're trying to wear down the other defensive line, you use the bigger back. You use David Montgomery. Because you have a battering ram, and that's what you do. By the time it's the fourth quarter, then you're popping 15, 20, 30-yard runs up the middle because they are physically beaten, bruised. They've been bullied. What I would suggest with Dan Campbell is that he lets someone know his philosophy, and he goes, what I want you to do in this interview is I want you to tell me how you can mesh my philosophy with your philosophy to take this thing over the top. The in-game adjustments with Shep don't happen. We're stuck in man coverage all the time. When we play zone, we don't know what we're doing, where we're supposed to be, so on and so forth. And there's people just open, wide open, in zones. I mean, go look at the freaking Steelers game. How many times on 3rd and 10 were people catching the ball 8 yards down the field? And all they had to do was turn around and take a couple steps, and they had the first down. And then you come in after they've gained 11, 12 yards, and you tackle them. What was the philosophy there? What was the reason for that? How was that supposed to be effective? You have to be able to be multiple. You have to be able to play multiple defensive fronts. How much does Aiden Hutchinson move around? How much? Because everybody wants to compare him to Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is everywhere. Not only do we not have a pass rush, you keep Aiden Hutchinson in the same spot all the time, and everybody knows where he's going to be, where to send the chips, so on and so forth. As a rookie, was Aiden Hutchinson not rushing with his hand out of the dirt? Was he not standing up at times? Stand him up and move him around. It's, again, this team has dealt with the definition of insanity. They've kept doing the same thing over and over and over and expected different results. I brought up Jahmyr Gibbs because that's the perfect example. 15 carries, 20 carries, 22 carries, 17 carries. Up the middle, up the middle, up the middle. 2 yards a carry, 3 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry, 2 yards, 3 yards. 3.8, 3.6, 3.5, 2.5, 2.4. What are we doing with those? There has to be a change in philosophy for this team to go forward. Hire a superstar coordinator. Go freaking hire Brian Daboll, bro. People go, oh, well, I don't like him. He's a POS because he ran Jackson Dart into the ground because he was trying to save his job. So what? We don't have a mobile quarterback. So we don't have to deal with that. Let me get to some of these comments right quick. Okay. The last game of Morton's nonsense was the Vikings. Facts. It went KC, Bucks, Vikings, then Dad had enough and took over. Okay. Said that going in-house is a very stupid idea. So here's the thing. They didn't go in-house for both hires. They went in-house for one of the hires, and then they went out but in the house. Right? They went with someone who was familiar. Okay? A lot of times in this world, it's not what you know, but who you know. Dan Campbell's got to take a look at his Facebook friends list and say, I don't know too many great coaches here. Casey Rogers was supposed to be the second best option in the entire NFL at defensive line coach. Our defensive line has been ass. It's been ass. I can't say too much about the secondary coaches and Jim Leonard and Deshae Townsend. I can't say too much about them because they don't have anybody to work with. They have no one to work with. Every year, our secondary is injured, bro. It's either injured or inadequate. The only people that are proven to be studs in the secondary are Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. We've had a revolving door at cornerback since Brad Holmes got here. We've never had a quote unquote good corner under Brad Holmes other than Carlton Davis, who you let go. Again, Terrion Arnold showed some promise, can't stay on the field. Terrion Arnold hit stick someone and put himself out for the season. I can't say enough about how bad our defensive line has been. Yesterday, I asked who you think was a hit. Yesterday, I asked this question: who you thought was a hit, and everybody said Aleem McNeil. The only way to prove that Aleem McNeil was a hit is to put him on another team and see what he does. Because he's been MIA all season. Yes, he's coming off of injury, but this is becoming a recurring theme for him to come off of injuries. You're alienating coordinators by saying we have to have this specific philosophy. You're alienating free agents by saying we have to have this specific guy. I doubt it's difficult to go throughout the NFL and find guys that want to win. I doubt it's difficult to go throughout the NFL and find guys who will put their bodies on the line to win. Because, like it or not, or believe it or not, every player in the NFL has had to make sacrifices to get there. Unless this philosophy changes, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Unless the philosophy changes, this regime is not going to be the regime to get you to the Super Bowl. People talking about the money. I don't care about the money, bro. I really don't. I really don't. You can continue to kick the can down the road. That is how NFL contracts are structured. And they've already proven to you that they have the capologists to be able to maneuver it. Bro, I don't care if you kick the can down the road to 10 years from now. And 10 years from now, we'll be like, damn, what happened? Everybody left. We couldn't sign nobody. But we got a Super Bowl. Why don't we have any players? The cupboard is bare. Guess what? We did that when Jared Goff got here. We had no players. The cupboard was bare. And it only took a couple years to become an NFC championship caliber team. So I don't care about contracts. I don't care about money. Don't talk to me about money. Oh, we've got all this tied up in this person. We got all this tied up in that person. Restructure the deal and clear cap space. That's what they do. It's what it's always been done. Since the advent of free agency. It was what, the early 90s, right? That's what they've always done. You restructure the contract, you change it into a signing bonus so it doesn't have any freaking cap hit, barely any cap hit. I keep going back to Matthew Stafford going to the Rams, having a $60 million cap hit get smashed down into $1 million because they converted the entire cap hit to a signing bonus. And therefore, it didn't count as a base salary. There are things that can be done. If you want to sign Jahmyr Gibbs, fine. Extend him, whatever. You extend him. This is Jahmyr Gibbs, what, fourth year? Third year? If you extend him, you pick up, first of all, you're going to pick up his fifth year option. Then you're going to extend him. And guess what? It doesn't kick in for 2 years. That's why I told you guys when J-Mo got extended for 3 years, it's 5 more years for J-Mo on the roster under contract because an extension is new money. It doesn't kick in right away. So don't tell me that you don't have any money this offseason. Don't tell me you can't go get a free agent to help you. Don't tell me you can't go get a free agent center. Don't tell me you can't go get a free agent freaking edge. Don't tell me you can't go get a free agent corner that's going to be better than freaking DJ Reed and you can freaking put him in the slot. I don't care. His contract is terrible. Do something about it. Money can be moved. Money can be changed, switched around and rearranged. This is why I've been saying, and I'm going to keep telling you this. If the thing about being cash rich, if Sheila is not cash rich enough, sell a large stake of the team to Tom Gores or someone like him who is cash rich, who can infuse cash in the billions of dollars into this organization so that you can sign any and everybody. Look at Jeffrey Lurie. He just did that. Hello? Is this thing on? Jeffrey Lurie just did what I'm telling you. He sold stake of the team to someone else so that he could infuse billions of dollars into his organization so he could afford to pay everybody. Remember what I've been saying about philosophy? Remember what I've been saying about it? I've been saying that the philosophy needs to change. Every look around the NFL, bro, and this is the most frustrating thing. The NFL is a copycat league. Why are we not copying anybody? For those of you who think I'm saying something else, I'm not telling Sheila to sell the team. I'm telling Sheila to sell stake in the team. She will still be the owner, the majority owner, but she will have lots and lots of billions to help her pay any and everybody she wants. Jeffrey Lurie won a Super Bowl. Jeffrey Lurie sold stake in his team and infused it with billions of dollars so that he could go and sign any and everybody. That's the way it goes in the freaking NFL, bro. It is not about a salary cap. It is about how much money you have. How much cash do you have? I've explained this to you guys before. You put the guaranteed amounts of money into escrow. People want to say, oh, we got $1 billion tied up in 9 people. So what? Go get more money. It is simple. Go get more money. Mark Cuban did it in the NBA. Jeffrey Lurie did it in the NFL. Go do the same thing. You think the freaking Lions, who are the hottest ticket, who have the highest ticket prices in the NFL, you think nobody would be interested in buying into this team, into this franchise? Are you serious? The money problems fix themselves, bro. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. So when we're crying poor, when they're crying broke, look. If you're watching other creators who are telling you, "Oh, we're broke, we don't have enough money because this, that, and the other thing," ask them if they understand how the contracts work. Because not everybody does. Ask them if they know how the contract works. And if they can tell you how NFL contracts work, cool. And then ask them, what is the suggestion? What's the solution? I just gave you the ultimate solution. Sell shares and stock in a team. Infuse your bottom line with billions. Go sign free agents. Look at what the freaking Patriots did. They bought a team this season, and they're contending for the number 1 seed in the NFC, in the AFC. They got their quarterback last year. And then this year, they got the rest of their team. Speaking of quarterbacks, the Detroit Lions will hold on to Jared Goff for too long. Because that's what we do. Remember when Matthew Stafford wanted out? We had zero contingency plan. Zero at all. We had ass cheeks David Blau, cheeks. What was that dude's name? Tim. What was his name? I forget the dude's name, but he was ass. And those were the guys that we had behind Matthew Stafford. Very similar to what is happening with Jared Goff. We don't have anybody behind him. We don't. Kyle Allen, really? Just let that sink in. As I said, Malik Willis, 7th round pick. Packers said, let's take a flyer. We'll take him. 7th round pick. Jordan Love gets injured. Malik Willis very competently steps in, wins games, finishes the games with victories most of the time. Not the Bears game. As I said, that was the first one I've seen him lose. Last year, stepped in against the Eagles. But they lost. They were going to lose that game anyway. They were already losing. Okay. But then the next 2 games, when he was starting, he won those games. We don't have anybody that can do that. If Jared Goff gets injured, with as many injuries as we have, we've got no contingency plan for our quarterback. If there is any season and Jared Goff is our quarterback and he gets injured for any stretch of the time, the season is done. It's over. Brad Holmes has some work to do. Mailbag. What you want to do? What you want to do when they reading you? Mailbag. Snick, mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. All right, let me get these comments. Jody Carruthers says poop strain. What up though, Lamico Cardenas? He says, Don P, this offseason will be the most important offseason in Detroit Lions history. It's shaping up to be that way, but I don't have the confidence. So in other words, the NFL salary cap is non-existent. It doesn't exist, bro. It really doesn't. Look, it is supposed to be a hard salary cap, but it's so soft because there's so many ways to manipulate it. If they've got this many ways to manipulate something, it means that they don't intend for it to exist. And the only way that you get caught by it is that you don't know what you're doing. The damn New Orleans Saints go into every season 40, 50, 60 million over the cap. And you're like, how the hell are they even going to field a team? Tim Boyle, there you go. Because I knew it was somewhere to be because they're like, oh, the real TB12. Because yeah, Tim Boyle. Ass cheeks. Lord have mercy. Get your mailbag questions in, bro. Tomorrow, it's gonna be a late stream. If you guys don't mind, I understand if you can't make it, but I got some things that I got to do. So I'm gonna have a late stream tomorrow, probably at least a couple of hours from when it usually starts. So yeah, if you can make it, appreciate you. If you can't, I understand. If you can't, I understand. But as I said, I just got some appointments to keep tomorrow. Yeah. Let's do it. So Monty is gone. Mailbag. I mean, I think there has to be a conversation. I think there has to be a conversation, but you just can't do that. You know, as a veteran, and you're supposed to be a mentor and all this stuff, and then you're liking comments that are disparaging the guy that's supposed to be your brother in the locker room. Nah, that's not a good look. That's not a good look at all. Um, but he's an aging running back. So what are you gonna get for him? If you can get a seventh round pick for him, whatever, because you just paid him, you know. But there's a lot of people that Anzo, DJ Reader, Amik Robinson. It's, everybody expects for them to be gone. You know, we need so many things, bro. We need sideline to sideline speed at running back at linebacker. There's just so many things that we need, bro. There's so many things. All right, appreciate you. Of course you will be, Ron. We lost our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. I'm surprised people expected us to even go to the playoffs this year, SMH. Well, here's the thing, and that's why at the beginning of the show I started talking about Dan Campbell and his staff replacement. If you would have hired a superstar defensive coordinator, an all-star superstar offensive coordinator, then we wouldn't have blinked. So it wasn't that you lost them, it's that you didn't replace them properly. That's the point. The Lions have treated him like garbage this season. This is true. I don't think it's been treated like garbage. Again, it's this stubbornness, bro. Sometimes I feel like I live in the twilight zone with this team. It's when everybody else goes left, the Lions go right. When everybody else goes right, the Lions go left. I want to get Monty the ball more is what Dan Campbell keeps saying all year. Get him the ball more. It's not that hard, man. It's not that. Look, I'm telling y'all. Okay, this offseason, we're gonna go through play designs. We're gonna go through play designs to show you how easy it is to use two running backs on the field at the same time. We're gonna design some plays live on air. Because this is frustrating to me for you. You don't know how to get people involved. I mean, the Johnny Morton stuff with Jameson Williams, I had me pulling my freaking hair out. Like, how are you that stupid, bro? You know what I mean? I don't mean to be Paul Thomas, but it's like how is a coach in the NFL this boneheaded where he did like, well, I mean, JMO, he's 70 yards down the field. That's the only time we can throw to him. Right? So essentially, if we start at the 50, well, JMO can't be involved because he's got to be 70 yards down the field to throw to him. It was crazy. And then Dan Campbell takes over and he gets 1,000 yards. Bruh, JMO was setting up to get 300 yards for the season with freaking Johnny Mo, bro. Dan Campbell takes over and starts using him all over the field, and miraculously, surprise, surprise, he gets 1,000 yards. So I don't know what it is. I really don't. Jacob Fatu, I don't know how late you are, but it's very late. uh Monty was good when he played for the Lions last year. What the frick are you talking about, bro? Uh, okay. Gibbs needs to lock in. I don't know how much you know about football, especially since you have a basketball player as your Gibbs needs to lock in. No, that's not what's happening. Uh all good, all good, all good, Jody. Um, and he's not a guru as far as an offensive play calling. You might better offense and defensive coordinator. I do not like our defensive coordinator for sure. Yeah. Y'all gotta start coming in earlier. Y'all gotta start coming in earlier, man. Um, Mailbag. So I know it's highly unlikely to get rid of Melvin, and I know what GMs usually stay until they hire their coach and draft a QB. Do you think that it's possible MCDC gets canned first? I say I need to look at this offseason and see. Um, but somebody has to change their mind. Somebody has to change their philosophy. I don't know. I don't think MCDC gets canned first. But so what's going to be on him is to go outside of the organization and get somebody who can run an offense who's and I'm not talking about a John Gruden or whatever, but I mean the John Gruden hasn't coached in a while. John Gruden wasn't great with Derek Carr. Derek Carr wasn't great with John Gruden. I don't know if the game has passed him by, but you know, you need an offensive mind. You had an Osama bin Johnson, and it really looks like if you look at the Bears offense, some of the philosophies that we were employing over here look to have kind of maybe held him back a bit. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know. But I think Dan Campbell's got to go out and he's got to get the offensive coordinator hire right. Most likely Kelvin Shepard's going to get another shot. Um but we'll see. But he didn't get it right this year at all. Yeah, no, I don't think this coming season. No, I don't think anybody's getting fired this coming season. Well, what MCDC is saying is in contrast to his actions of actually putting the ball in RB5 David Montgomery's hands. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like you Lord have mercy. Gonna have a severe heat wave here. Oh Lord. Um it's not that hard, bro. It's not that hard to get people the ball. You know? Jacob Fotu, I know you watched the game, but if you watched the game and you thought that it was a Jameer Gibbs problem, that's why I said maybe stick to basketball. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just don't think you know what you're watching. I'm sorry. If you watched that game and you thought it was Jameer Gibbs' fault that he gained 0.3 yards per carry when there were no holes and there were people in the backfield as soon as he got the football every time, and the fact that they rushed for 15 yards for the entire game, if you thought that was Jameer Gibbs' fault and he needs to lock in, you don't know what you're watching. Respectfully. Respectfully. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you're watching. Respectfully. Yeah. You better be crazy as an offensive coordinator. You have to be a mad scientist, bro. And you have to love offense. Like Johnny Moe was supposed to be this mad scientist that loved tinkering, that loved self-scouting. Brother, you were ass. You didn't do any tinkering. You didn't do any self-scouting. You were sitting in the lab watching adult videos. That's all you were doing because you weren't making this damn offense better. You didn't know how to use JMO unless he was 70 yards down the field. Why do you call yourself an offensive coordinator in the NFL if you don't understand that this man can take a 2-yard slant 80 yards to the house? How? How did you call yourself an offensive coordinator in the NFL if you didn't understand it? I didn't get it. Lord have mercy. It was over week 1 against Green Bay. Yeah, for Johnny Morton. Yeah, he showed us he was ass. Appreciate you, Mr. Detroit City. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Like I said, for those of you just coming in, the stream is going to be later tomorrow. I got some things I gotta do. So probably a couple hours later. And I'll keep you updated if it's any later than that. All right. Once again, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your lines news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace.